OWC Radio's Creative Club, and I am here with Florian Wagner, who's come all the way from Germany and has taken the time to sit down with us and talk about his amazing project, African Waters. Hi, Florian.
Hello, Cirina. Nice to meet you.
When I heard about your project, I just was blown away by it. First of all, the scope of what you're doing is incredible. But before I say too much about it, tell us exactly what it is.
Okay, well, African Waters is we try to create awareness for water-related issues by taking extraordinary photographs, which I do with it's a Leica S, it's a medium format camera, and we do 360-degree panoramas out of a helicopter. And the good thing about those is the quality is so great that you can actually print up to 10 meters, which would be approximately 30 feet prints
so
for exhibitions. Big
wow.
prints, yeah.
Wow.
So, and for that we traveled 10 African countries in 66 days. We flew 100 hours through 10 countries, from South Africa over Namibia, Angola, Rwanda, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Malawi, and Mozambique. I hope I didn't forget one.
Unbelievable. So this is a book. You're doing this for a book? So you're shooting stills only?
Well, yeah, we do have a trailer that we produced, but also we are working on a documentary, which will probably come out in 6 to 12 months' time.
Oh, I didn't know that. So you're doing the documentary as well. But you have behind the scenes of you working too.
We have a lot of behind the scenes footage and drone footage. And we also had some interesting mounts of cameras to get different angles of, the scenes we photographed, but also how we photographed them and the problems we had. We had emergency landings, we had malaria, we had almost arrests. Quite interesting trip.
So when did you get the idea for this, and why are you doing it?
The idea, I had the dream, I had an exhibition for Leica in South Africa, and a Leica fan really liked one of the first images that I produced in South Africa, and he offered me to take his helicopter for free to do more about it, like more similar stuff. The problem was, after 9 months of preparation I had put into that project, he had to pull out because the helicopter had an engine problem. So I still had the project, but no more helicopter, so I needed to find a helicopter.
Okay, stand by. The mic is too close. Okay, so hold it a little bit to the side. There you go. So, you know what? We're in the middle of NAB, everybody. So there's a lot of noise all the way around us, but we're using this very directional mic so we can get better sound. But, it's a little bit tricky. So thank you for working with us on that, Florian.
No,
so we were talking about why you're doing this. Can you explain it to me again? I'm sorry, I got distracted for a minute. What is so important to the world about what you were doing? Because this is, in my mind, huge.
Well, I think, when I prepared the project, I was looking for partners, and one of the partners that were interested was OWC. And actually it was Larry O'Connor's idea to support the project, but only if we do more than just aerial photography. He wanted to have some more preservation ideas behind it, and that's how I got interested in all these themes. And working for 2 years now on the project showed me that we are at a point at the moment in our world where we have to wake up, where we have to react before it's too late. If it's about the oceans, when we, for example, when we came to Cape Town is surrounded by billions of liters of water, but at the same time, it was just a few days short of being the first city in the world running out of water because there was no more water because it hadn't rained for a couple of years. In Namibia, the first range Koimasis, where we landed, they had lost 40 fillies to leopard because they had no water and were weak. And when they have a saying, when the land is dry, the leopard is fat because it's easy prey for him. So, we came to all these beautiful places like the Luangwa Safari House, which is at the Luangwa River from Robin Pope Safaris, and they have this beautiful house at the Luangwa River, but at the same time you see a lot of problems with the people that fish there. They get attacked by crocodiles. So wherever you go, you find life when you find water, but at the same time you find problems that arise more or less dramatically.
So speaking about problems, you had some challenges working on this. I saw some footage of you galloping through water on a horse with your camera, just like literally your camera hanging out like this. Talk to us about some of the physical challenges in gathering this footage that you had.
Africa is challenging in any way. Well, first of all, we had a helicopter. A helicopter has 3 different kinds of vibrations. They overlap, and that's really bad for anything technical: cameras, shutter speeds, hard drives, anything, you name it. Again, it was super hot. It was humid. We had a lot of shocks when we were driving around the country. The equipment got a lot of beats to take. So that was the technical part. But apart from that, the logistics were quite challenging because you need clearances to cross over with a helicopter. There are countries that you can be shot at when you move the wrong way. So that also was very challenging. And Regina, my girlfriend, she caught malaria, which broke out in Angola, and she said the last thing I ever wanted was ending up in a hospital in Angola, and here we go treating malaria in Quito, Carnaval.
Now, you got tick fever at the same time, didn't you?
Yeah, that was handy because we had to go to the hospital only once.
Well, you carpooled to the hospital. Oh, my goodness. Well, when I was working in Africa, I actually didn't take the malaria medicine. Did you take the malaria medicine or not?
We had actually prepared for a lot of preparation medicine, but where we caught it is absolutely no malaria land. When we had it's called a bleeding valve that stopped working. It got stuck, so we had to do an emergency landing the very first day of our trip at the Wild Coast in South Africa, and we went down and we camped overnight. And in the camp, we obviously got tick fever and malaria, but in an area where we didn't expect. So at the end, we had the cure for malaria and tick fever, so we didn't bother about the preparation anymore.
What do you do about insect repellent? And were you wearing that all the time?
Or? You wear long clothes. It looks ridiculous, but it helps to put the socks over the pants. Long sleeves, obviously, and there's some really good repellent stuff the lodges usually have for their guests, and that really works well.
Yeah.
And just, don't always use a mosquito net. Never, at certain hours where they're more aggressive, just, be aware, protect, and then you'll be all right.
Yeah, right before the sun goes down. That's really terrible. They're swarming around you sometimes.
Yeah. And also the medical part, like to cure malaria, has improved a lot in the last 10-20 years. So that's also, the precaution, Malarone or whatever you have. Some people take it better. I don't take it that well. I don't feel that well. And when you cure malaria and you realize it quick enough, then it is much better to handle than it used to be 20, 30 years ago.
So when you're traveling internationally into these remote areas, how much equipment were you taking with us? How many cases and how much weight? That's a problem, isn't it?
Yeah, it's always a problem. But with Leica, I cut down to 2 to 3 cameras and maybe 5 lenses. And I always, we need a lot of backup possibilities. So we take 1 to 2 laptops and then small hard drives that don't need extra power, like the Mercury or the Envoy, because oftentimes we have to work in very simple conditions in the bush where we have little energy and no reliable source of battery power or whatever. So we need to have what we have, use what we have, and and small is better and tough is better. That's the big deal. That you don't want to put all these efforts, like flying the helicopter. Risk is involved in helicopter flying, obviously, and all this financial risk and the organization and the malaria and everything, and then you come home and you end up with no photos because the hardware broke down. And that's actually one of the reasons why we choose OWC, apart from the fact that they partnered up with us. But I used different products before, and I always ended up with one or two problems. And since I use OWC, I didn't have problems. You know, we crossed Ireland on horseback, and in Ireland you have midges or wind or rain or end. So that's also very hard for the equipment, and we had no fail out. So
you're using the OWC Envoy Pro
and the Mercuries
and the Mercuries.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they don't need an extra.
The Mercury duals.
Beg your pardon?
Which Mercury?
It depends. You know,
Right.
It depends on two things: what we need, and also what OWC wants to try out.
Right.
And, you know, like
Right.
so. I have my things that I look into, and apart from that, I don't.
It's okay. I like the new Envoy Pro that has the bumper on it.
Exactly. We actually, and now that for the NAB, I brought all the hard drives because to prove that we believe in the product, we landed the helicopter.
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, I saw that footage. Oh my gosh. You had 4 of the hard drives on the ground, right?
Yeah. And the funny thing was, we didn't have the time to secure all the data. We could secure the data, but not the work that was on it. So Regina, she had put 9 weeks of hard work, most of it in the night.
Are you serious?
Into these data. And when I came up with the idea of landing the heli on the original hard drives, she just looked at me and she said, "If you're going to crash those hard drives, I'm going to kill you."
I think your relationship would have gone bye-bye. Auf Wiedersehen. Yeah, hold that straight to your mouth. Like, there you go, like that. There you go. So I actually, what happened, just to explain to people, is I saw the engineer on the ground measuring the exact distance of the feet of the helicopter, and then they positioned the hard drives on the tarmac. And this helicopter that weighs, what, 1,200 pounds at least?
No, 1,300 kilos, which is about 2,500 pounds.
Oh, 2,500 pounds. And there's a close-up that I couldn't believe of the what do you call it, the blade, or not the blade, the foot of the helicopter landing on this hard drive. And the hard drive just kind of does one of these.
Yeah,
and the data was fine, nothing happened?
No. You can see them on the show. If you come to the OWC booth, you can see the original hard drives that we landed on.
The drives are in the booth. I want to go see that, because that was that put Timex. Forget the old Timex commercials about still ticking. That's even better. So OWC's been very supportive of you on this African Waters project, right?
Yeah, they were the main partner, you know, not only in the sense of you know, helping us getting it done financially, but also in giving us an idea of, you know, how we can make this something more than just a photo project. You know, this is really OWC's input, that it became a theme about sustainability.
Exactly.
And what's going to happen with our water tomorrow. You know, so many interesting stories. For example, Lake Tanganyika holds 17% of the world's standing sweetwater reserves.
It does?
And it's endangered of being overfished and killed by overfishing, because the locals, they use mosquito nets to fish, which means they take all the really small fish. Now,
point that towards your mouth.
Yeah.
There you go.
When they catch all those fish, the fish don't eat the plankton anymore, and the plankton will grow too much and take all the oxygen out. So the problem is that there is a solution that I would like to support. And there's a guy called Chris Horsfall. He's got a lodge there, and he's building water tanks, mini water tanks, where people can breed fish in. And with those water tanks, he can take the pressure from the lake, and he can also fight malaria because these tanks work with solar power, and they have a light on top of it. The mosquitoes get attracted by the light, they fall into the water, feed the fish, and the excrements can be used as fertilizer. It's a wonderful project. He also builds up schools for the people to educate them in terms of sustainability, in nature protection, anti-poaching, how they eat well, all these things that we take for granted. And I really want to support this project, and the Lake Lake Tanganyika, the lodge, and Chris with his support, or with his trying to make a better world at the lake.
So you have all these beautiful images that you're capturing. You're using this equipment out in the middle of nowhere. How do you power things? Are you using solar power?
We do have a little bit of solar power, but again, it's heavy equipment, and with a helicopter, we are very limited in what we can take. So what we usually do, we have battery packs that we can use for times where we don't have access to power. And then second thing was that we, for 3 reasons, we choose to go with luxury lodges. First reason is that they usually know a lot about the area. The second reason is they have fuel for us. It's very logistically very challenging to have fuel for a trip like this. And third, they have security, which in Africa obviously is also something you want to think about before you go. And they do usually have electricity, but it's also solar powered, obviously.
So why did you pick Africa?
Because I love it.
I know, me too. Yeah. I understand that. It's a beautiful country, but it is very dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. In many places, if you behave properly, it is quite safe. Other places you shouldn't go at times. You know, everything Central Africa, I wouldn't go at the moment. Somalia, countries like that. But at other, like Namibia is pretty safe. Botswana is quite safe. South Africa is quite safe if you take some cities and places out. So I feel safe. I never had a problem. And I also believe that when your time's up, your time's up. It doesn't matter where you are.
I agree with that. So for you, what were the biggest physical challenges for you using the camera in those environments? I mean, I saw you on horseback. What other physical challenges did you have as a photographer working in that environment?
I think the most challenging thing is it wasn't so much my challenge, but it was for Slade, our pilot. Because for the photos I take, what you have to do is you kind of nail the helicopter into the air, and you cannot move neither horizontally nor vertically nor anywhere. You have to stay on the spot. Now, when you have the headwind, it's easy to keep the helicopter where it is. If you have a side wind or a tailwind, it's not as easy. And I have to do a 360-degree turn, but that has to be done by the heli. And I can only react a little bit depending how fast he turns. Sometimes when we have strong winds, the heli would turn really slow for a time and then do a big swing. So I have to equalize that, and that was, for me, the most challenging, because we put so much money and energy in that project. And if you come home with no 360 panoramas but nice aerial shots, you don't deliver what you promised, and that's a bit embarrassing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's scary, isn't it? So do you have favorite images that come to mind, like moments that, as a visual person, there are times in your life when you actually see something and it's forever engraved in your mind, right? Do you have any of those?
Yeah, I have one, and that's quite a nice story too, because we were at Lake Natron Camp, which is a beautiful lake, and it's kind of a military camouflage camp, very beautiful, and they have Maasai working with them. They're very close to the local Maasai community. And I promised one of the two young warriors that they could come for a photo flight in the helicopter. But as I said before, we were very short of hours. And when I actually got up at 5 in the morning and looked at the sky, it was horrible conditions, dark, black clouds, no sun, no sunrise, nothing. But I felt so sad for the guys that I said, okay, let's just fire up and take off and do a big turn and come back again. For them, it doesn't make a big difference if it's 5 minutes or 15. It's just fun and a new experience. So we did it really for them. And then once we were up, the sun came out and it gave us the most beautiful image of the whole trip by far. It's a limited edition. We will exhibit. It's actually exhibited already in Munich twice. We will go on world tour with it with Leica, and I think it's just it's when I see, and also it has El Doño Lengai on it, which is the holy mountain for the Maasai. And Lake Natron is so special because it has a very high concentration of minerals. So sometimes it's black, sometimes it's red. So it's just an amazing lake and a great spectacular photo. I shouldn't say that about my photo, but I really like it.
Oh, it is beautiful. It's absolutely, your images are stunning. I think the book is going to be, and it is, I haven't been able to flip through it physically, but I think the book's going to be absolutely wonderful. Now it's available now. It's been released. Where can people find it?
Well, Amazon has it. You know, the bookstores, it's at the moment it's in German. We are hoping for a English version in the next 12 to 24 months. That's on the publishers to do that. But you can get it, and it's a big book. It's and you can contact me directly, and I can sign it and send it. That's no problem at all.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to get one and have you sign one. So it's what we call here a coffee table book.
Yes,
because those are so valuable. They're beautiful, and I love that people still love coffee table books. You know?
Yeah, so I'm a big book fan, and it's not my first book, but it's the first book that's so focused on extraordinary photography. I did one book for National Geographic where I crossed Germany on horseback, but that was more a book about my team and me fighting our way through Germany on horseback.
I want to see that. So, Florian, I feel honored. I'm here in the OWC RADiO booth with an amazing photographer who has been supported with all their heart by OWC. And I just want to thank them for everything they're doing for all of us creatives, right? I mean, I don't know what we would do without them. So where can people go now to find out more about you and your book?
Well, we have a webpage that's in English. It's called africanwaters360.com. And 360 is just the numbers. It's not written out. So africanwaters360.com. You find the trailer. You find the book. We will launch a possibility to donate for the project at Lake Tanganyika, at Lakeshore Lodge. We will send you a link where you can learn all about sustainable fish farming and how we try to support the communities at Lake Tanganyika, which is between Tanzania and Congo. And in Congo, things are even worse. And hopefully in the future, we can also help with some education and water tanks to feed the people and educate them. That's a long-time dream of mine.
So I do wish you all the best. Is there anything else I didn't ask you that you want to talk about before we take off?
No, I would just like to say thank you to everybody who helped. You know, all the lodges. Leatherman was part of it. Led Lenzer, Garmin, Afrikarma. Lots of people that, you know, without their support, we couldn't have this realized, and the biggest part of it was OWC. So a big thank you to OWC and Larry O'Connor.
Yeah. Well, Florian, you're an amazing photographer with a beautiful eye I wish you well, and we'll be following you. So for people who didn't get the address, it is
AfricanWaters360.com, or if you want to find me on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram, it would be Wagner Photo _film _adventures. That's also a possibility to follow me in into my next adventures that hopefully come soon.
I'm going to do that. And now the German pronunciation is Wagner, but in the United States it's spelled Wagner.
Absolutely.
So Google Florian Wagner and put African Waters afterwards, and you'll find a lot of information about you.
Absolutely.
And you'll also find the trailer where you can see the helicopter landing on these small hard drives. And I'm going to go over to the booth right now and see those hard drives.
Okay.
This is Cirina Catania with OWC Radio. Thank you, Florian Wagner. Thank you, OWC. And it's been great. And you know what I always say? Get up off your chair and go do something wonderful with your life today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.